Hey everyone, welcome back. My name is Talyn, registered dietitian with a mission from Tacoma, Washington. Thanks for joining me. Today we are making a golden lentil curry, and our featured ingredient is, of course, golden lentils. These are our golden lentils. They're also known as yellow lentils, yellow split lentils, or Bengal gram. This is what's traditionally used in Indian dishes for chana dal. So let me introduce you to the rest of the ingredients. Canned unsweetened light coconut milk. So that's not the kind of coconut milk you would use for like your breakfast cereals. Liquid coconut aminos. This is going to be a similar agent as soy sauce, but it is gluten-free and soy-free. Some carrots, a shallot, which is a relative to an onion. If you don't have shallot, you can just use onion. Serrano pepper. If you want it spicier, you can of course use a jalapeno pepper. Our aromatics, ginger and garlic. Curry powder. For the base of the dish, we're going to use vegetable broth. And I use bouillon because it is a space saver. This recipe is very simple. It yields servings for 4. It's made in 30 minutes. You need minimal tools for this recipe. This recipe is vegetarian, vegan, gluten-free, so made well for lots of diet restrictions. And this recipe is great for wintertime and fall time. Super yummy, delightful soup. So let's get to it. First, I want to prep all of my ingredients. I'm going to start just by peeling a carrot. Now in this recipe, we're going to need 2 cups of chopped carrots. And I don't know exactly how much of my whole carrot I'll need for that. So I'm just going to peel 2 large carrots. And if I'm close to a cup, I'll go ahead and use all of the carrot. And we're just going to chop this up thinly. So I cut off the nubs with a sharp knife. And I'm going to keep them into rounds. Of course, if you want to slice your carrot lengthwise so you get half moons, that's fine too. If you have a mandolin, that would be great, because then you can get your carrot pieces really finely diced or chopped or sliced, and they will all be uniform in size as well. All right, let me chop up the rest of this carrot, and then I'll show you the rest of the ingredients. Okay, since one of my carrots is really large, the end is also very large, and I want it to cook evenly compared to the smaller pieces of carrot. So I am gonna cut those larger pieces in half so that it cooks more evenly. Let's chop our serrano. Now since this is a spicy pepper, if you are very sensitive to spices or if you're prone to touching your face, go ahead and put on some rubber gloves. I will be fine without them. I'm gonna chop off the end. We're gonna remove the seeds. So to do that, I'm just gonna slice my pepper. And I don't have that many seeds on the inside, which is great. The seeds are where the spice comes from. So to remove it, I would just take my knife and kind of scrape them out, letting the blade do the scraping. Okay, now we're going to mince them. Now people sometimes don't pay attention in recipes when it comes to minced versus chopped, and that's an issue. Chopped are gonna be pieces that are the size of peas typically. If it says roughly chopped, you're looking at the size of marbles. Minced are gonna be quite small, like the size of coarse salt. And this is all for the speed of cooking. Mincing usually means you chop something and then you go back, gather it into a ball, and chop it again into a smaller piece. We want our pepper well cooked. We don't want to have any of that bitter flavor that we get when it's raw. This is so spicy, I can get the spice in the air. Excuse me, oh my goodness. All right, serrano pepper's chopped. Now it's time to prep our shallot. I'll cut off the end that's not root bound. And this allows me to peel off the outside. And if you're sensitive to the allium family and it making you cry, the shallot might just do that. So feel free to grab your onion goggles for this part. Okay, cut it in half. Still got a bit of skin on there. I'm gonna slice it into strips, and I lost the tip of my knife in a little home accident, but that's okay. I'm gonna slice it thinly into strips. I can actually see the striations on the shallot, and I'm gonna cut along that. Nice and thin. And now I'm gonna cut off the root ball. So I get these strips, just like that. That's why I like to keep the root ball on, so that it makes the slicing much easier. So you need a 1/4 cup of the sliced shallot, and for me that was the exact size as just one large shallot. Okay, that's done. On to our aromatics. Aromatics are typically onions, ginger, garlic, things that give your dish a lot of depth. And many Eastern, Middle East, African, Asian dishes will use aromatics, and that's what makes them so delicious. So for our garlic, I just crushed it, took off the skin. Now I'm going to hold the root ball, slice it into strips just like we did with our shallot. And then I'm gonna cut it crosswise, and I get these nice diced pieces. I do the same technique for any other kind of onion, allium, when I'm trying to dice it. It's very simple. If you don't feel like you have good knife control, steady knife control, you can use a garlic press. And I show people how to do that in my other lentil video, which you'll need to watch later. This is a little nub of ginger. It's the last nub I have. Since ginger dries out once you cut it, I'm gonna cut off that dry end. Uh-oh, looks like I got a little bit of an infection here in my ginger. I wanna cut that off. And then the rest I'm gonna peel with a spoon. So peeling ginger can be challenging, but I find that the spoon method is the easiest. You can see it just peels it right off with that spoon. And I like doing this better than cutting it, because when I cut it, I tend to just take a lot of the ginger off of the ginger root, and I don't want to do that. I want my ginger in my meal, not in my compost. Now, if there's a particularly dry piece, because ginger usually comes in a really wonky shape and it's got all these little nubs everywhere, like that, you're gonna need to cut that dry piece off as well. Okay. I needed a tablespoon of ginger. I'm a little short, but luckily I have got pre-minced, ready to go refrigerated ginger. Let me show you. This is so great. So since I don't have a full tablespoon, I'll be using this to make up the rest. You can also find pre-cut ginger in your grocery store, frozen into cubes, which is super nice. And I thought, you know what, I could just make that. I could buy a whole nub of ginger and chop it all up and then put it in ice cubes and freeze it. And then when I'm ready to use it in a recipe, just plop the ice cube in there. I mean, how simple is that, right? Okay. Aromatics have been minced. Finally, I add olive oil because it tastes good. All right, so I got my pot on the heat, medium, and I'm gonna add a drizzle of this. While I'm letting the olive oil heat up, let me show you our lentils. So lentils can come in all shapes, sizes, and colors. And like I said, this is our yellow lentils. They are split, which is why you can see that they're kind of cut in half and they have a flat side and a round side. You can use red lentils for this recipe. You can also use brown lentils or even green lentils for this recipe. You're just gonna need to adjust the cooking time. And I typically get my lentils in the bulk bin, but they do sell them in packages. So you can see this is actually named chana dal, but it is lentils. so let's add our sliced shallot to our pot. That sizzle means it's ready. It got nice and hot. I'm just breaking up the shallot pieces. We're gonna cook that until it's translucent. This should take about a minute or two. Now we're going to add our mixture of serrano pepper, a tablespoon of ginger, and 3 cloves garlic. Let's saute this for 3 minutes. If you see the shallots and garlic browning, go ahead and check in on it, and we can resume the recipe sooner. All right, so that's been in there for about 2 minutes. Things are starting to brown, so I'm gonna add the rest of our ingredients. I have a tablespoon of curry powder, that bright, beautiful color. This is not spicy, so don't feel like you have to limit yourself to a tablespoon. More flavor, more curry. Give it a stir. Heat really helps with aromatics. It helps pull that flavor out, but we don't want them to burn. So now we're gonna go ahead and add the rest of our vegetables. If you find your spices and your vegetables sticking to the bottom of the pan, you can add a little bit of your vegetable stock to deglaze it. Let's add our liquid ingredients. I've got 3/4 cup of unsweetened light coconut milk. And now I'm going to add 3 cups of vegetable stock. I have vegetable bouillon, so I just take a tablespoon of the bouillon, add it directly to my stock pot, and then I'm gonna follow up with 3 cups of water. Now, if you buy bouillon cubes or bouillon in a jar, it'll tell you the ratio of stock to water to get X cups of vegetable broth. Give it a good mix. Now we're gonna put the lid on and bring it up to a boil. Our pot is boiling, so let's go ahead and add our lentils. Can I get this out? They're sticking to the bowl because I rinsed them. This smells incredible. We're gonna let this cook uncovered. So I'll turn the heat down and let it simmer at a low medium for about 15 minutes until the carrots are soft and the lentils are soft. And the soup will naturally thicken up because some of that liquid will evaporate. You can see that our curry has thickened up. A lot of the liquid has evaporated. Our carrots are soft. I could cut one in half with my spatula. And our lentils are also soft. We're now gonna add 2 tablespoons of coconut aminos. So this is a seasoning liquid that's similar to soy sauce, but it is soy-free and it is gluten-free. It does have a little touch of sweetness too. I appreciate that. This is gonna give it a nice umami, savory flavor, which makes it perfect for serving over rice. So let's do that. That's it. We did it. Our golden lentil curry is done. Ta-da! I'm going to top it with some fresh cilantro and a little bit of a lemon. If I had a zester, I would go ahead and zest some of my lemon as well, and you're complete. I've got it served over 1 cup of brown rice. This makes for a perfect winter meal. Let's try it. So good. The lemon and the coconut aminos really give it a brightness and a pop. Highly recommend, 10 out of 10. Can't wait for you to try it. Thanks, and I can't wait to see you soon.